Hey, and welcome to another episode of Rankum. This is going to be a fun topic. It's one that I threw in there because why not? It got picked, then I realised, oh shit, I'm going to be. It's going to be interesting one to do. But it is sequels that came out 10 or more years after the last movie in that series or whatnot. But I've got a great panel here. Here for the first time, we've got Joseph. Joseph, how's it going?
Doing pretty well. I hope to be not too embarrassing with the movies that I'll bring up and the movies that will be revealed that I haven't seen yet. So let's see how it goes.
But next along, we've got Stephen. Stephen, how's it going?
It's going well, and I don't think you have to worry about that because I'm sure I'll have many hot takes.
Next along, we've got Chris. Chris, how's it going?
Going good. This was an interesting list to me, and it had to do a lot of math in my head, but it did be a fun list to me.
Yeah, and last but not least, we've got Anthony. Anthony, how's it going?
Going well. I apologize for making the person that makes us 45 minutes late from the start time, but other than that, I have a list. Joe, do not worry about making something embarrassing because all three of us, well, Malcolm host it, so obviously four. But we have all made embarrassing lists before. I can promise you that. So you have nothing to fear. We'll just make fun of you. What else? It's all good. It's all good.
We'll see. Let's see what happens.
But with that, how the show works is we go around and have a discussion. One person will bring up a movie that they think belongs on a top 12 list of movie sequels that came out 10 or more years later. And then everyone else will say yes or no to it, and it makes the list, and then we rank them at the end. But Joseph, you can go up first. What is the first movie you're going to nominate?
Okay, so looking at the list that I have here, I want to pick a sequel that, despite coming out at least a decade after its predecessor in a franchise, still carries the spirit and the characters from the predecessor and still makes a very, very entertaining, very endearing movie in the Pixar canon, despite following two sequels that came out that were such classics in the animation realm. My first pick is Toy Story 3.
Ooh.
I think that you can say what you want about how maybe it's the same story, but I think it captures that same spirit of what the Toy Story movies are all about, with the same likable characters from the first two that we know and love, and then it concludes in a way that should have concluded as a trilogy. Toy Story 4 notwithstanding, but yeah, I think it was a great conclusion to a great trilogy at the time before later Toy Story 4 came. So Toy Story 3 is my first pick.
Stephen, what do you say about Toy Story 3?
Well, I actually really liked how Toy Story 4 ended. That could be actually a good way to end it. But I'll definitely say yes for Toy Story 3. I love all of the Toy Story movies.
Chris, what do you say about Toy Story 3?
Yeah, this was in my top list, and yes, I love Toy Story 3. This was one of the only animated sequels I counted for my list, and I do love it a lot. It made me cry when I saw it. It came at an age where I graduated from high school, but at the same time ending off to college, so it hit on a personal level to me. And yeah, probably one of my favorite Pixar movies all the time.
Anthony, what do you say about Toy Story 3?
I am well aware that my decision does not matter. Three people picked it. But additionally, I would agree with it. It wasn't my top 12, but it was on my list. I already crossed it off. It's a great movie. It's one of the best in the Toy Story franchise, and I wish they would have stopped it here. I understand people like Toy Story 4, but it was a terrible ending for Woody because it is not what he's about. Toy Story 3 is what he's about, and it was perfect. That's how they should have ended it, in my opinion. Toy Story 3, 100%, I believe, should be on this list. That's a great pick. Joseph, you did not already screw this up. You did a great start, and I'm very well done. Awesome. No, Toy Story 3 absolutely should be on the list. It's a great movie.
Yeah, like I would have also said yes to Toy Story 3. I'm in the camp that I think Toy Story 4 is the perfect ending. But we're not here to argue about the endings of Toy Story. There'll be another look.
argument. Okay. Well,
But yeah, but Stephen, what is the first movie you're going to bring up?
Let's see. I will bring up Blade Runner 2049, which I actually, even though I know the first Blade Runner was a very influential movie, and I liked it a lot, but I didn't quite love it. But I love Blade Runner 2049. I think it's even better than the first one.
Chris, what do you say about Blade Runner 2049?
Yes, this is probably my second favorite Disney, third favorite Disney animated film. Like, I love this. I actually loved it more than the original, just because I think what it does for acting-wise, plot-wise, and then cinematically-wise is perfect. Harrison Ford gave one of his better performances in a while in the movie. And yeah, it's a perfect movie. That should have got more love than it got back then.
Anthony, what do you say about Blade Runner 2049?
Yet another win. This one was in my top 12 that I had. This movie's fantastic. It was really good. It was really well done. It was a pretty perfect sequel to what Blade Runner was. Absolutely should be on there. I feel like this could be one of the shortest episodes of all time because so far this is pretty solid. But yeah, absolutely goes in.
And every time someone says that, it ends up going a lot longer. But,
I apologize. I removed my statement. The whole time.
But yeah, I saw Blade Runner 2049 very recently for the first time. Like I did a double feature of the first one for the first time and this one. And yeah, I like both of them pretty much equally. And I would have absolutely said yes to this one. Joseph, what would you have said to Blade Runner 2049?
In doing in looking up sequels that came out a decade at least after their predecessors, Blade Runner 2049 was in the top half for me. So top 12 definitely. I think it would be of good consideration for the movie. I need to see it again because one of the things that I like about Blade Runner is that it has details and themes that you catch more upon rewatch. So with that in mind, I do want to give Blade Runner 2049 more chances to analyze more and see more in their themes and their symbolisms and all the things that I like about the first Blade Runner. So at the moment, I do like the first Blade Runner more, but I would totally be open to rewatching Blade Runner 2049 in the future, and I think it's a good entry for the list. Yes.
Chris, what is the first nomination you're going to bring up?
So I do bring up something that came out a couple years ago. So this is, at first it doesn't seem like a sequel, but when they make acknowledgement of the previous movie in the middle of the movie, with acknowledging Bob Williams, I'm going with Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. It's the sequel to the original Jumanji in a way. It's set up with the ending of the first one. You see with the thing being found in the stand being turned into a video game. They got that really sweet acknowledgement to Robin Williams' character Alan being there in the video game. It's funny, it's great. Jack Black is hysterical in it. Like everybody does such a great job. I think that's one of the biggest surprises I saw the last decade that took me by surprise or something I wasn't expecting. Like Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle.
Anthony.
I'm not going to say it again that this is going to be the shortest show of all time. But I 100% agree this wasn't my top 12. This was a fantastic quasi sequel to it. Like it's sort of a sequel, but not really. It's more of a reboot. But it, like you said, you brought Alan Parrish in it. You referenced him. It showed how the game transformed for the modern times. All the characters are fantastic. They did a great job of acting in two different ways. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fantastic, and I definitely had it on my list. I love the original Jumanji, and watching this, I went in with very low expectations and came out there like, holy crap, they did it. They did a really good job. And I 100% goes in for me as well.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I completely forgot about this movie when doing my own list. For some reason, I didn't write it down, but and this is one that, depending on which way you look at it, it does still count both ways because a lot of people do consider Zafura part of that franchise, and this is definitely still 10 more years after that as well. So I'm saying yes. I love Welcome to the Jungle. Next Level was great. I can't wait to see where they go from there. Joseph, what would you have said about Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle?
This is a movie I've been meaning to watch but haven't yet.
Oh, note to self: if I ever play Joe, pick Jumanji.
I do want to see it. I
So,
just haven't.
it is really.
But Stephen, what would you have said about Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle?
Yeah, I actually like it more than the first one. I think it's a more clever take on the similar premise to the original, and so yeah, definitely it's yes.
Anthony, what is the first movie you're going to bring up?
I have so many. I have a lot. I'm going to go with the one I really appreciated that just kind of came out a year or two ago. It is a sequel to one of the best horror movies of all time, The Shining, and that would be Doctor Sleep. I think Doctor Sleep. I saw the book come out, and I read the book before I even knew it was going to be a movie. And the book was fantastic, and the movie came out, and I was shockingly impressed with how well they did with bringing in Shining references without overdoing it, without forcing it to be a revamp of The Shining. I see a little bit of discourse there, Joe. It's fine. I get it. I thought they did a decent job. They did a lot of revamp on The Shining, but it's also a newer movie that was 39 years after the original. So you kind of have to, because people aren't going to watch the original sometimes. They're going to see Dr. Sleep. They're going to see Rebecca Ferguson. They're going to see Ewan McGregor, and they're going to be like, I want to see this movie without knowing it's a sequel. I thought it was really good, really well done, and did a really good job of sticking with the book and just bringing in the references to Shining that were necessary for maybe a new audience, but also appreciating from the older audience that liked The Shining. So I will throw that on there before I start throwing some of the more obvious ones on there that I didn't go. So.
Yeah, once again, this is another one that for some reason I didn't write down on my list. It's because I just completely forgot all about it. But I love this movie. This is great, and also and this is one that they made it work as a standalone movie on its own, without having to need to see The Shining to understand it. And I like the way that they actually managed to sort of rework the book slightly to work in with what happened in The Shining, because obviously The Shining movie is not like the book because what adaptation is, and they rearranged a little bit, and actually I believe that the ending of this is the same as the ending from the original Shining book with the blowing up the Overlook and that.
Yeah.
Also spoilers, so
Spoiler alert for the 3-year-old movie / the 40-year-old movie. So
and I believe it's been a lot longer since the book's been out, but Joseph, what do you say about Doctor Sleep?
Yeah, so I get that some people would be hesitant at saying that this is a worthy sequel to one of the most iconic horror movies of all time. How do you follow that up? How do you even think about following it up? Because it's like an untouchable horror movie and all that. So like when I saw this movie, I was also very impressed with the story that they were able to use to continue on with Danny and the hat and the what's it called? The Rose the Hat's called. What are they called again? I'm blanking right now. But regardless, I liked how they used them to continue on the story with Danny, and I will say yes to it as well. The reason I was like a little to the Shining references is because I don't know, there were some parts at the last 30 minutes or so that I felt like maybe a little overdone. just a little. But I think the story that it creates to follow up the Shining is still really good. So that's why I was just like a little hesitant. But yes, I say yes to it.
I believe it's True Knot. I think True Knot. I think that's what they were.
That's it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But Stephen, what do you say about Doctor Sleep?
Well, I saw this when it was in theaters, and unfortunately, I fell asleep through a big chunk of the movie. But I'm still gonna say yes because I did like what I saw from the movie.
I'm not going to put out the irony of Doctor Sleep putting you to sleep.
No, I didn't fall asleep because it was boring. I fell asleep because I guess I must have been tired while I was watching it.
I get that. I've totally done that myself. Especially if I've got in a movie. Chris, what would you have said about Doctor Sleep?
I am kicking myself because I forgot about it. I love this movie. I have minor issue with when they go to the hotel. I think the movie starts to lose me when they get to that part. But I loved all the stuff leading up to it. I think Rebecca Ferguson is one of the best villain performances last year, and the acting is top notch for everybody. It's very emotionally, it hit your level, especially someone who's come from family who have abuse, like alcohol abuse or like drug abuse situation. Just kind of hit me on the level of watching with Danny, and phenomenal young actress performance in that movie. Like, be on the lookout for her and stuff. Like, hell yes, I love Dr. Sleep.
It's back to me. And for my first one, I'm going to bring up one that I completely forgot about until we were talking about this before when someone asked me if this counts. And I'm bringing up Superman Returns. Well, yes, it does have someone who's taboo to talk about in this, but the movie itself is good, and before anyone yells at me, it is considered to be a sequel to the Christopher Reeve movies because it's in that same universe. I mean, this is an underrated movie that is a lot of fun to watch, and Brandon Ralph does do a good version of Christopher Reeve in this. But yeah, Joseph, what do you say about Superman Returns?
I haven't seen this movie in its entirety. I've seen like bits and sections, and whenever I try to like watch the whole thing, something interrupts me from finishing it. I haven't finished it in the times that I've tried to watch it for some reason. But from what I do remember seeing, I do enjoy it way more than I hear people giving it credit for, which make like I get that people are like hesitant on some of the people that were involved in that movie that later turned out to be kind of not doing the best things behind the scenes, but as a movie, as part of the Superman movies, I thought it was entertaining for what it was trying to do. I think that the climax, which I did get to see, is very intense. With the beat down that Superman gets is like pretty intense, and then very. I don't know. I've liked what I've seen more than I've heard people say is that the movie is good. If that makes sense. Given what is available, I'll say yes. I think it's an all right movie for this list. Maybe not top 5, but top 12. I think it's okay.
But yeah. Stephen, what do you say about Superman Returns?
I mean, yeah, I think it's almost up there with the first two, and definitely better than 3 and 4.
Well,
they're not saying much.
Yeah.
It's like it's saying more.
But yeah, I always thought this was very underrated, so I'll say yes.
Chris, what do you say about Superman Returns?
May I be the only same person here? I don't like Superman Return. If we what do you call it, Superman movie? Okay, movie, but as a Superman movie compared to a lot of the other crappy ones, this is pretty bad. Can there's so many weird elements to it. Clark Kent as a character come out really weird in this movie, especially his fight on Lois. It come out a little creepy, and a lot of it doesn't make sense. The kids twist doesn't make sense. Kevin Spacey gave an okay performance. I don't like this movie. I haven't seen this since it came out either, but I remember not liking it. And I prefer the first Christopher Reeve movie over this any day.
Wait, Kevin Spacey's in this. I'm pretty sure it was Christopher Plummer, but but Anthony, what would you have said about Superman?
Bit of my opinion doesn't matter, but this was not my top 12. But it's one of the obviously 3 and 4. I don't even count them as Superman movies because they're not. They're trash. But this was definitely one of the worst ones. I mean, the extent of what I remember about this movie is it's yet another movie that James Marsden does not get the girl. That is what this movie is known for. Another James Marsden, hey, I don't get the girl movie. Brandon Routh is great. He was better as the Kingdom Come Superman in the Arrowverse. That's where he was the better Superman. I wouldn't put this movie in the top 12. In my opinion, I have a few more that I would prefer that I think are better. But, people have said their thing. I don't think Joe was paying attention when I put up my screen and said we only get 12. So to be like, hey, wait, maybe you have some more that you might like better. But, hey, it's fine. It is. There's only so many movies that had a sequel that came out 10 years later. So it is going to be a bit of a stretch to find them in the end.
But anyway, with that, we go back to Joseph.
It's also a question of there are a couple movies that I know came out a decade after their predecessors that I haven't seen yet. So I'm going from what I've seen or have seen a lot of from what I remember seeing. Okay, this is going to be interesting. Looking at my list, trying to think which one might be more likely to be better received or better regarded. Okay. I think this movie is a good example of a movie that gets released over a few decades later after its predecessors, and people, because that predecessor was not that well received, people were hesitant, and because the director was coming back to direct this sequel 30 years after the last movie, would be like, he's kind of old. Is this movie going to have the same energy as the previous action movies in this franchise? And this movie, if you, some people don't like it, but I've seen it a few times already, and I like it more when I see it more. It's Mad Max Fury Road. This movie is a blast to watch. It's a movie that, given all its technical problems, shouldn't work. But seeing how all the action sequences are put together and how these all the stunt work in this movie was done to make this movie with practical effects and a lot of stunt work, dangerous things people were doing that were insane for action sequences in the movie, but it's all the more entertaining for it. And I think it's a good movie to pick in this list of top 12 delayed sequels.
But Stephen, what do you say about Mad Max Fury Road?
Funny enough, I have not seen the previous 3 Mel Gibson movies, but I did see this one, and it's definitely great. I do think it's slightly overpraised, and some people think it's one of the best action movies of all time. It wouldn't make my top 20, but I still think it's great, and it definitely belongs on this list. So yes.
Chris, what do you say about Mad Max Fury Road?
Hell yes, love this film. I just love Mad Max Fury Road. I haven't seen all the Mad Max movie, but I love this movie, and it worked well and we want compared to a lot of the sequels.
Anthony, what do you say about Mad Max Fury Road?
Yes, from the guy that directed Babe Pig in the City. He came out with a fantastic action movie that I enjoyed from the get. It's one of those movies where you can. I liked all of them. They're all fun. I mean, not fun. I mean, it's a desolate wasteland, which is basically a year from now, according to Mad Max. But it's a lot of fun. It's a good movie, and it's impressive that George Miller can pull off the star is barely says anything. You have Tom Hardy, who is Max, who doesn't really do a lot. When you have Charlize Theron and Nicholas Hoult, who just absolutely demolished this movie, were great. This movie was the number one on my list of ones that I would have picked. So this 100% gets put in, and probably is maybe one or two of what we have so far of what I would have wanted. So yes, absolutely, good pick. 2 for 2.
Yeah, I remember seeing the original ones like before I saw this movie. I remember seeing the original ones once. I'm not really a big fan of them, but I maybe visit them. Then Fury Road came out. I watched it. It was fine. I hate the movies still, but I think everyone is really overhyping it. I would have said a hell no to this.
To be fair, I did think it was overhyped the first time I saw it because I think that people exactly were like overhyping it as one of the top action movies of all time. Exactly, like what Steven was saying. But rewatching it for what it is, an entertaining movie, and the follow up to the Mad Max films in the Mad Max world, I've liked it more from that perspective. But I totally get why people
from a Mad Max film. It's a desolate wasteland. A lot of people aren't going to be having discussions like the colors and the action sequences and the fire. Everything is just like so. It is maybe it was overhyped when it came out because it was so far beyond. It was what 30 years, like you said. It's a long time, but it came out of nowhere, and it was no one expected it to be good, and it really was. I enjoyed it, but I can see why people don't.
But yeah, I was disappointed they didn't get Mel Gibson back for a cameo in some form or another. But
He's a good person. They don't like him anymore in Hollywood.
But Stephen, we go back to you for your next nomination.
All right, I will bring up a movie that, even though it was nominated for Best Picture, it's a movie that doesn't have a good reputation, and even though it's obviously not on the same level as the first two, I think it's still great, and that's The Godfather Part 3.
Chris, what do you say about The Godfather Part 3?
Coming from someone who the first two Godfather are some of my favorite movie all time, like they're my top 2. I don't like the sequel, the third one, that much. I think maybe it would change with the director cut that coming out soon. My opinion would change, seeing what the director intention version is. But as of right now, with the film we have at the moment, I had to say no just because Sofia Coppola really ruined the film. I don't like some of the direction they take. They want memorable line, but they go in real direction that I don't like. That ruined what was great about the first 2 movies so much. So sadly, no.
But Anthony, what do you say about Godfather Part 3?
Yeah, that's a no. It was like one of the most epic trilogies of all time, but honestly, it's one of the movies that could have ruined. That actually did, I think, in my opinion, ruined the trilogy. Like Chris said, Sofia Coppola completely destroyed that movie. Her acting was so wooden and bad. Luckily, the only good thing about it is she realized to stop acting and start directing, because she has better directed movies than anything she acts in. She's a great director, terrible actress. That was one I saw it on there, and I was like, I can't do this. There are so many better sequels that I think came out. I get where you're going with it, but The Godfather 3 kind of, when you can mess up Godfather 1 and 2, that hurts. That hurts.
I've not seen The Godfather Part 3 yet. I've only seen the first two. But I've heard everyone talk about Sofia Coppola ruining the movie. I mean, it could be worse. It could have Nicholas Coppola in it. So,
You lied. You lied. It's the best goddamn movie of all time. We've had this stuff about, but do not come back and Nick Cage with me.
but Joseph, what would you have said about Godfather Part 3?
So Malcolm, you're saying no?
Yeah, I'm saying no.
Okay.
It's not making the list.
Yeah. I've seen 1. I've seen 2. I've postponed seeing 3 because of what I've heard. I'll probably get to it eventually, but yeah, I haven't gotten to it because of the things that I've heard about it.
Yeah, just wait for the director because maybe it'd be better, but at this point,
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones like I think the director's cut's going to be a theatrical release, so it would count for movie for trivia purposes. But Chris, we go back to you for your next nomination.
So I did go outside the box for a moment because when I was thinking while we were talking, this came up, and then I checked to make sure it came out 10 years later. So a horror movie that at first you see had no connection at all. Then at the very last scene, you see Bruce Willis in the diner, and you hear Mr. Glass' name. I'm going with Split. It is one of the most ingenious secrets that nobody knew about. That it was sequel to Unbreakable with 2000, and Split came out 2016. It's great. Dave McAvoy, phenomenal. He should have maybe got Oscar consideration for what he did in both Split and Glass. And all you tell the joy is what it started making. Like, it's intense, it's funny, it's kind of disturbing, but it wanted to end like Shyamalan better movie the last couple of years. Like, had to be on Split because I'm happy I don't realize it a couple minutes ago.
Anthony, what do you say about Split?
I mean, obviously, would have been better with Nicolas Cage as the star role. Now, Chris, we don't always agree on this show, but this time I 100% agree with you. This was a great call. When that scene at the end when Bruce Willis shows up and you realize it's a pseudo sequel to Unbreakable, it was incredible because M. Night Shyamalan has some straight trash, but it was not Unbreakable, and Split was fantastic. Like you said, James McAvoy made that role. He can change his personality in a second. He deserved a little bit more recognition for that than he got because he did a great job. He played like 23 different people in one shot. Anna Taylor-Joy is great, and she's been now finally picking up a little bit more. That movie as a pseudo sequel was great. I had that on my list as the top 12 as kind of one of those hidden gems, which you just stole from me. So thank you for that. Also, I appreciate that the color on your screen is now normal. Your room looks fantastic. I love the color of the walls. But yes, Split is a definite yes for me.
Yeah. Split is a yes for me as well. This is one that I wish it had a better follow-up than what we got in Glass.
That was terrible.
But Split is definitely great. It's one that I didn't expect. And I admit, it's probably one of the worst kept secrets because as soon as the movie came out, like everyone was raving about it on social medias and all that. Like, because I found out about that it was a sequel like before I went to see it. I still enjoyed the movie regardless because I don't let spoilers bother me. But Joseph, what would you have said?
Would it hurt if someone sees Split and not knowing the significance of the Unbreakable twist without having seen Unbreakable first? Because that's how I watched this movie. I didn't know that this was supposed to be like a twist to Unbreakable because I hadn't seen Unbreakable at the time. I have now, so like I see that.
It probably takes away from that initial, like, because when I watched it the first time and then it happened, I was like, holy shit, like, we're going to have a fucking trilogy to this. But the movie itself is great to begin with. It's only 10 seconds, so you miss like a little bit, but like to see both, it really hit you in another way if you enjoyed the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I saw this without seeing Unbreakable either, so.
Okay. All right.
My dad made me. My dad showed me Unbreakable many years ago. I didn't even know it was sequel. Split was sequel to I sat in the movie theater on it.
Mm-hmm. So I wasn't, and I wasn't the most type of person that people have with that reaction because I hadn't seen Unbreakable at the time. But as a thriller, I really like James McAvoy in the movie, and Anya Taylor-Joy was also really good in the movie. And I think that it will also be a good movie to include in the top 12 list here. So I would have also said yes.
And Stephen, what would you have said?
I haven't seen it, and while I didn't think The Glass was terrible, it was such a disappointment,
It was.
and it kind of dampened my interest in watching Split. But I'll still see it eventually.
Yeah, you definitely. I would, even if you've seen Glass and didn't like it, watch Split because just James McAvoy kind of. I feel like he phoned it in a little bit more for Glass. He was probably the best part, but Split, it was another level of how good he was. Really good.
I just hated what Split did with the David Dunn character.
You mean Glass?
Glass, technically.
Yeah.
Oh, Glass, yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh yeah, Glass. Well, at that point, Bruce Willis stopped acting. He was just like, "Oh, paycheck, cool, thanks. I'm gonna just sit back and say words." That
No,
was
but he was so good and Unbreakable, and I thought
Yeah.
maybe that would get him back.
yeah, it was.
I mean, I stand by the opinions like when Bruce Willis last come back, it was like I don't know, then be money. Here's money coming.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll do it. Why not? But after he, what is your next movie you're going to bring up?
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh man. All right. We only got a few left, so I'm gonna pull one out of here that's a little more on the different side than what we're looking at. It is going to be a little bit of a more straight comedy. Nothing else to it. And this movie came out 14 years after the original and brought in some color. The first one was black and white, came out of nowhere, and no one expected it. And it is based in my state of New Jersey. And if you ever need a burger, you go to movies because we're going with Clerks 2. Clerks 1 was an absolutely it came out of nowhere. Kevin Smith just brought his thing in, just a very simple, well done, funny movie. And Clerks 2, I feel like took that. Believe me, I have better movies on here that I feel like, but I really enjoyed Clerks 2. I thought it was really funny. It kind of came out of nowhere. No one expected it. It had one of my favorite scenes of a movie ever because I fell asleep during every Lord of the Rings. So the scene where he talks about the One Ring and literally was like, "Hey, Lord of the Rings 1, what do they do?" And he walks. Lord of the Rings 2, and he walks and trips. Lord of the Rings 3, walks, drops a ring, and walks back. I've laughed at that scene more times than I can count. I think it has great humor in it. It's very funny, and like Kevin Smith kind of brought himself back in Clerks 2 a little bit there. And I believe there's even supposed to be a Clerks 3. It could have came out 12 years later. I apologize. Oh, you can straight up correct me on here. Don't worry about that. If you correct me straight in person, I will not argue. But it is still over 10, so I will take it. And 12 is a better number than 14 because I like 12. So, but it still counts. I'll go Clerks 2. If this one doesn't make it, I understand. But I find this movie hilarious, and I think it was a great sequel to the first. Oh, I fell asleep during Lord of the Rings. During all three of them. All three, I fell asleep in the theater because they walk all the time. Fucking do something, people.
But anyway, but in saying that, as Brian said in the chat, somebody Rachel Silverstream is happy that this is coming up. I've yet to see Clerks 2. I do need to do a deep dive into Viewer Skew at some stage. But yeah, I haven't seen it. Joseph, what do you say about Clerks 2?
I get the hype for Kevin Smith. It's just not for me. I personally don't dig all the humor in his movies. Like I can see some parts of Clerks like being like entertaining. Just that that type of humor is not for me. Thinking about the donkey scene just is too much for me. I personally don't.
That was aggressive.
Basically, it's not my type of movie that I would want to rewatch. So I'm gonna say no. Sorry.
You're not going to hook me up with Tony's comment there, Malcolm. You're going to call me out on Lord of the Rings. You're not going to hook me up with Tony's comment. Come on, give me some extra love here. I'm not the only person.
But
Thank you.
but
Hell,
anyway, I froze up a little bit, so
Oh, yeah,
I just
yeah.
completely
Yeah.
missed all of that. But Stephen, what do you say about Clerks 2?
Yeah, I'll say yes. Despite the heartbreaking responses about Lord of the Rings. But yeah, I thought it was a very enjoyable movie, and I think it does what any good sequel should do, and that's further along the characters and themes of the movie. So yes.
Joseph, you and no as well, was it?
Right, I said no.
Which means it's all on Chris. What do you say about Clerks 2?
Oh, I think some of Kevin Spacey. Oh no, Kevin Smith versus me. Sorry, I just wrote it, but I haven't seen Clerks, and I haven't seen the Jay and Silent Bob reboot and a few other Kevin Smith like standalone stuff. But I had to say no because I do kind of get around watching Clerks 1 and Clerks 2, which haven't appeared yet on my streaming stuff on my list to watch.
Yeah.
Oh, I got Malcolm on this one with the people that didn't see it. Oh, man. All right, that's all right. I get it. That was a stretch one. That was a stretch one for me. That's all good.
Yeah. Also, it does hurt that you confuse Kevin Smith with Kevin Spacey. I'm pretty sure that they do not. Yeah.
I said Kevin Smith.
No,
I
Chris.
know it's all about Chris.
Oh, I was about to say. I was like, I'm getting
I
confused.
corrected myself.
Yo,
at least,
Kevin
like,
Smith doing Clerks too.
Oh, yeah,
That's a whole different movie.
But anyway, it's on to me, and I'm going to go for one that that is another great comedy, and I'm going to bring up Anchorman 2. I really enjoy this. This slightly more than the original. I do think both of these are great. Well, yes, it repeats some of the same jokes, but to me, that's not a bad thing. It's sticking with what worked. It upped the ante a lot, especially when them going for the more commenting on the fact that there's news for everything now, like movies, music, sport, and all that. It's like, and how it's all getting saturated. And I love this movie, especially the cameos of like Jamie Foxx, Will Smith popping up in this as well. It's definitely great. But Joseph, what do you say about Anchorman 2?
So I'm sorry, but this came out 9 years after the first one.
No, that was. I'm pretty confident that was one that was. Over.
Anchorman was 2004. What year did Anchorman 2?
The first one was 2004. The second one was 2013.
Oh, fuck.
You know what? But this is one of those that always showed up. Oh yeah, it did. You know what? We'll. I say we count it and we just ignore it because.
Oh, I mean, no. I mean, if it came out 9 years, like, I mean, I know it's my show. I'm not going to get yelled at in the comments for doing a loophole for myself. So, but I'm gonna go for.
I feel you though, because this showed up in some of my stuff as ones that showed up 10 years later, though.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. I was gonna say no.
I mean, I got the feeling that there was going to be what would have happened anyway.
I like the effort though.
I like the effort too. I love the entertainment, but I don't like the sequel that much.
I'm gonna go for one that is fairly recent actually, and it's one that I didn't know that I would love more because the last movie that came before this wasn't that great. I mean, it was still fun, but I'm gonna go Bad Boys for Life. I thought this was a really entertaining movie, and it's just one of those ones like one of those sequels that really worked with having the characters sort of age with the movies. Like you had Marcus sort of retire from police force to spend more time with his family and all that, and I was actually worried that they killed off Will Smith when he was shot. I was like, oh shit, they're not gonna do that. but I thought it was a great movie, and I thought, like, especially with Mike trying to cope with this new team, which is more tech based and than what he is used to. It is just really interesting seeing all that. But Joseph, what do you say about Bad Boys for Life?
Haven't seen it, so I'm gonna say no. Sorry.
Stephen, what do you say about Bad Boys for Life?
I think I thought it was surprisingly good. I wasn't sure how it was going to end up being, considering that first one not directed by Michael Bay, but no, whoever directed it, I don't remember who directed it, but it actually did a good job. It probably is actually a better directed movie than either of the first two Bad Boy movies. But I'm gonna have to say no because we only have 5 spots left, and I think there are better movies.
It was Abdul and Bilal that directed it.
That's not a name. Better than Michael Bay.
The stuff with Will Smith is great, and they didn't kill him off, but they did kill off one of my other favorite characters from the franchise.
But but with that, Chris, what do you say about Bad Boys for Life?
This is one of the movies I went in not expecting much. I like the Bad Boys movie. I don't love them, but take away Michael Bay and give heart to this. This is what the franchise needed: like humor, heart, great action, some really fun, entertaining moment, like the plane scene, and the side characters are great. Like Vanessa Hudgens fun, everybody else is fun. This is a fun ass movie. This is in my top. See, it's in my top 5 for the year so far, and this is fun. It's funny. I say yes. Like it's better than another thing. I think, especially list, we need some great one. We don't need to start going to the below the barrel. We're getting to something.
And something I actually just found out: the people that directed Bad Boys for Life is apparently directing a Beverly Hills Cop 4. So
yes.
Yeah. As apparently a deciding factor, this was in my top 12. This was one of my favorite movies of 2020 period. I think it was actually me and Christina, who pretty much everyone on here knows and has seen and knows is another level. Really enjoyed this. We thought this might have been we actually watched the first 2 Bad Boys right before we watched this one, and I actually enjoyed this a little bit better than the others. It was a little more heartfelt. They had a little more to it. It wasn't the Michael Bay, hey, here's an explosion. Hey, some car barely touched the bumper of this trolley. Everything in San Francisco or everything in Miami explodes. We really liked it, and I would definitely put this on there. I thought everything was good, like people said before. It does work with the aging of the characters and the twist with Will Smith was a bit extra, but you also understand he was the character that, was a little bit more, rambunctious with the females, if you will. So it's very possible he might have a child with a random woman. So I really liked it. This was in my top 12 for this. So, and one of my top movies of 2020 period. So this one goes in for me.
Yep, it makes the list, and it just goes to show there was movies that came out this year. It's not one that it's not a year that just disappeared into nothing.
It's not one of those Netflix movies I get questions about, which is bullshit.
I
But-
might have another film for 2020 on here, but we save
There we
that.
go back to Joseph for his next nomination.
This is interesting. There are a few that I think generally people think are all right movies, hopefully, but as sequels to their predecessors, maybe not the greatest. But how I'm trying to figure out how a way to sell this.
Oh, you have my intrigue. You have it now.
So, okay, for two reasons, I'm going to try to say that this deserves to be on the list. One, the movie brought back characters from the brought the characters back from the first movie that people were waiting for years to come back into a movie, and maybe that wait anticipation maybe hurt the movie a little bit in the sense that people were expecting it to be amazing to the first, like the first movie. But even if it wasn't, I still think that as a movie that follows up the first movie, it still retains those same characters and the same spirit of the movie, even if it might not be as amazing as the first movie. But of course, what other Pixar movie is as amazing as The Incredibles? I think that having the sequel still contain those characters, the same spirit of the story and the characters and the entertainment in that movie is still worthy of making this movie on the top 12. So Incredibles 2.
But yeah, definitely not the one I was predicting, and until you said Pixar, then it's like, oh yeah, I know what we're talking about. Stephen, what do you say about The Incredibles 2?
This one I'm conflicted about because I do like it, but we only have a few spots left. But I'll say yes. I actually do like it. I actually like it more than the first one, even though I haven't seen the first one since it came out in theaters immediately. But I like the first one. I just never thought it was never one of my favorite Pixar movies. But the sequel, I think, is at least on par, if not slightly better.
See what you did with the car.
So I'll say yes.
Chris, what do you say about The Incredibles 2?
I am struggling. I like Incredible 2 a lot. I have problem with the villains stuff, but I like the humor a lot. I love Jackass. I love the vacuum sequences. I love the diner scene. It's better than another Pixar movie that didn't make my list. I'd say yes. Out of two animation movies that would count, it's better than the other Pixar one.
But Anthony, what do you say about The Incredibles 2?
This was on my list. I did have this in my top 12. Like Chris said, there was another Pixar movie that was kind of on there, but it was in the back realm. This was great. I really like The Incredibles. If you like superhero movies, you always enjoyed The Incredibles. It was a great movie, family. You get the drama of the family, and then it was nice to have, instead of it being like, Bob Parr, you had Helen Parr be the hero. You changed it up a little bit, and you brought Jack in, which was a great character. Like Chris said, the villains are okay, but it works for the time. That's what it is. It works for what we are now of a internet society. But Incredibles 2 came out of nowhere. It was awesome because what was it, 14 years later, and it started 10 seconds after the original. Like, no one expected that, and it was perfect. And it was great, and I really enjoyed it. Chris just got an idea, I feel like. I don't know if he has a plan or...
Yeah.
Now he's back to a microwave.
That came out with another film that I forgot, but I think it's...
Oh, okay. All right. But I would go yes with Incredibles 2. I really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, I mean, The Incredibles 2 is going to make the list anyway, but look, this is one that I thought it was fine. Like, I really love The Incredibles a lot, which is probably why I was slightly disappointed with this one. I like that they started literally straight after this, and I mean I'll make the joke that it's the best version of Fantastic Four we've ever had on screen.
That's not
but even though technically it's now the Fantastic Five with the addition of Jack to being but I mean, Pixar does this really good job of picking up like things that are happening in the world, like with especially with the screen slave and all that. Like, it's really commentary on the fact that we really do spend a lot of time on our internet and our phones and all that. Well. We can't help it of treating it though, because we really can't do anything else.
Well,
But,
you can, because your country's open, not ours. Your country's
Hey, I mean-
open, Malcolm. We can't
mean-
do anything.
I mean, at least your country did the right thing and get rid of the problem.
Yeah, that is true. Sure.
No problem.
But yeah, I would have said no. There's a few others I think deserve to be over The Incredibles too, but I do enjoy this movie a little bit. But Stephen, we go back to you for your next nomination.
I'll go with Star Wars: The Force Awakens. This is actually surprisingly, I liked it but didn't love it the first time I saw it. But then around the time Rise of Skywalker came out, I decided to a bunch of the Star Wars movies were already shown on television, and I like it even more now. I think it's great, and the introduction to the new characters are great. Harrison Ford is great, and so yeah, Star Wars: The Force Awakens is my next.
Yeah. And before people yell at me in the comments, I did allow this for the reason that the Clone Wars movie that came out in between Sith and this is purely 4 episodes of this TV series that they just put on the screen and edited together. This is why I'm allowing this. But yeah, Chris, what do you say about Star Wars: The Force Awakens?
Technically, this is also a sequel to just the Return of the Jedi, not the Revenge of the Sith, but it's I like this movie a lot. It's my favorite of the new Star Wars movies. Even though I like Last Jedi a lot, but defend it to death. But yeah, I would say yes. Like, we make a good list. And this is actually one of those sequels that you love. It introduced me to Adam Driver and how good an actor he is now, and everybody does a great job. It's a fun movie. It brought nostalgia back. Harrison Ford once again give another really good performance in it, and yeah, like we do bring out the Star Wars movie. This would like want to bring up. Like,
Anthony, what do you say about The Force Awakens?
All right, to anyone that knows me, you would know I'm not a geek player or am intrigued in a lot of these things. I've seen this movie, and the whole time I was watching it, I just go, fan service, fan service, fan service, fan service, with no actual extra plot. It did nothing for me. It just was like, hey, remember this thing from this movie before? Here you go. Hey, remember this thing from this movie before? Here you go. You brought in Adam Driver, who is he's a fantastic actor. And I honestly don't think this movie helped him at all. I think this movie made him look like a whiny baby the whole time. He has so many better movies that he acts in that he can show his range. I'm including Logan Lucky in this, where he was just a hillbilly guy trying to rob the NASCAR track. And this movie to me is a no. I saw it on the list, and in my mind, I was just like, it did nothing for me. It just felt like it was, hey, we're bringing Star Wars back. We're going to try to make sure you remember everything that you love from the past, but really not add anything new. We're just going to throw stuff at you. And, Daisy Ridley's great as Rey. John Boyega's great. They are good actors in it. They don't get enough to do to really elevate this movie to the level Star Wars can do. In my opinion, again, I am not a huge Star Wars fan, but I didn't see it. I felt like there were other movies that did fan service correct, like Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame. They did it, but ended a series with it and did it great. This one just was kind of like, here's a thing, enjoy. You remember this from before. So I'm gonna say no. But I'm also, I'm not a geek person, so that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of those ones. Like, I'm always of the belief that fan service is not always a bad thing. Like,
Always.
but I mean, it's rather like I enjoyed Force Awakens, and I do literally think it's a good movie. I do wish J.J. Abrams had did Last Jedi, and so that that trilogy could have been a little bit more coherent. But yeah, I'm going to give this a slight no though, because while I do like Force Awakens, there's a few other movies on my list that I want to bring up that I think is better. But this, if this was anything, this would probably be my slight number 13, if anything. But yeah, Joseph, what would you have said about Force Awakens?
I was hoping you'd say yes so that I wouldn't have to break the tie. Okay, so when I saw this movie for the first time back in theaters, I liked it. I didn't love it. I heard people saying that, wow, this is one of the best movies of the year, and how it brought Star Wars back in theaters, and it's back in full force after the prequels that happened. Seeing it, I felt that it was overhyped because I felt like it kind of. I do understand what Anthony is saying, and I do agree with him to an extent that the fan service, or basically the rehash of exact plot elements in the original trilogy, felt like J.J. Abrams is like taking scenes from the original trilogy and saying, "You remember that? Well, here it is." And it's not just for A New Hope; it's also in Empire Strikes Back and even Return of the Jedi. That said, I still think it's entertaining. I think that it, at least, I wouldn't say so far that it doesn't add anything new, because I think that Daisy Ridley and John Boyega do pretty well for that movie in trying to introduce their new characters. And then, and as a movie that was starting there, I felt like it was a good, like an all right starting point for the new trilogy before we got into the mess with Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. But I'm torn about what I want to include with the last two spots that will be left after this if I say yes. I'm looking at other movies here that could potentially make the top 12.
I believe in you.
You know what? I think that it can make the top 12 and be in like the latter half of the list. Maybe not the top half, but I think that the latter half is still an all right list for an all right place for it, even if it's just for that. I'll say yes.
No. For a second. All right, kick him off. No, he's done. He's done. No more shows for him.
My battery is about to.
I'm just
My
joking.
battery is about to die, so I gotta rush real quick to get the top 10.
All right.
Yep.
Shall we discuss how terrible The Force Awakens is while he's gone? Why it's not a good movie?
Well, he's.
I mean, I personally think it's a good movie. I just said no because, like,
The top 12.
I mean, well, I mean that, like, it's not it's at about the middle of the Star Wars franchise.
I mean, it's better
It's
than
the
the
one
other. It's better than the other Harrison Ford choice that we could have gone with. Would have been a no for me.
Well, that's true. Yeah, if anyone says that, I will promise you a no. I will guarantee a no right now.
Well, regardless, and Stephen would be the last one to determine if he will vote yes or
Yeah,
no.
well, that's what I was about. That's what I'm about to do because Chris, what is the next movie you can bring up?
So I didn't realize until we were talking about it. Go, this would count I mentioned it last week when we were doing horror performance. I'm going with the 2018 Halloween. It is because they've retconned everything else in a sequel to the very original Halloween movie. Like, this is a really good follow-up to the original Halloween. This is Jamie Lee Curtis giving in really good performance. It's scary, it's creepy, really good. Like, it's also an interesting look at how trauma to hit somebody with Jamie Lee Curtis, her dealing with post-traumatic stress disorder, her dealing with that Michael is back. Michael is scared. That one-shot take of him going to houses at the house and killing people is chilling. And they set up a really good new franchise. I'm looking forward to Halloween Kill late next year. So, yeah, it came out in my head, and I'm like, yeah, this counts. 2018 Halloween.
I mean, I'll let you away with this one, but because it's one of those awkward ones that
Oh shit! No, I gotta say, I've actually looked this up because I just introduced Christina to Halloween recently. We've been doing some scary spooky movies for October that she's never seen before, and that was one of them. And I was curious, and I looked up the Laurie Strode and all that stuff. And if you go on the Wikipedia, it gives you a very detailed explanation of which movie comes after which. Halloween 1 and 2, the originals, are a direct prequel, or like the Halloween 18? Is that what it is? Because I'm terrible with dates, you know that. Is the direct sequel to Halloween 2. Then there's Halloween 3, and then there's like 4 or 5, whatever, and then it goes to Halloween Resurrection of H2O, is according to their thing. So Chris is right in this. It was also on my list because I think this is a fantastic sequel to the original Halloween. So if, Malcolm, you accept such a movie, I, in my opinion, will also say yes because he's right. Chris, this is the second time you stole a sneaky movie from me, so I don't know how I'm feeling about this. But you're right on both of them. This was a great kind of sequel to the originals, all those other Jamie Lee Curtis ones, Halloween H2O with Coolio doing kung fu and all that insanity that occurred, just wiped away. And we're going to get a fantastic ending trilogy, I hope, to the Halloween franchise. But yeah, I had Halloween on my list. I think it's great. It was 37 years after Halloween too, and they really did a great job. Something I didn't expect to be good, I thought was fantastic. And when you get Jamie Lee Curtis as a straight up badass, basically an apocalypse prepper, it was awesome.
So you're just going to ignore Halloween 2, Rob Zombie, which came out in like 2009?
Yes, because those are a different level. I'm going with the direct sequel to Halloween 2, the good one, not the Halloween 2 Rob Zombie, which just decided to murder Halloween. As just a franchise.
I mean, this is one that I'm going to allow because of their logic. Because I've not seen this, so yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those ones like, because I actually had to look it up to find out when Halloween 2, the Rob Zombie one, was, because I knew that there was the remakes back then as well. But yeah, Joseph, what would you say about Halloween 2018?
I haven't seen it either. I'm gonna say no. Sorry.
And Steven, what do you say about Halloween 2018?
I'm not a fan of this movie. I'm a big fan of David Gordon Green's indie work, but whenever he seems to step out of those kind of movies, it doesn't seem to work for me.
But with that, it doesn't matter either because it's not making the list.
Yeah.
I'm with you,
I have
Chris.
1 or 2 more before I get to the bottom of the battle. So I got 1 or 2 more Tron.
But Anthony, what's the next movie you're going to bring up?
All right. Oh man, I got a few here. All right, I'm going to try one. I got another horror movie on here, but I'm not going to do. Wait, do we have a horror movie on here? I got Split.
Dr. Sleep.
Dr. Sleep. Okay, then I'm going to go something different. All right, this movie, a little bit of on the British side of things. The first movie came out, really jacked people up with a baby's head that turned all the way around on a ceiling. And then they came out with the second movie that no one expected to be good and was actually fantastic. And I'm going with T2, Train Spotting, because this movie, I did not expect it to be as good as it was. I really enjoyed Train Spotting. It jacked me up. I didn't know what to think about it, but it really did a good job of bringing all of these characters back and bringing them to the level that they were in the first one. And what was it? I think I got 21 years after the original. And they all come back. They bring in the money situation. It was Chris, there's no chance any of us read what you just put up there.
I think you're sneaky bastard. That was next on my list, so we were thinking a lot.
Okay. No, yeah, we're on the same page today, Chris. Normally we're not, but we're on the same page today. Yeah, Train Spotting T2, I think, definitely needs to go on this list. It's not something a lot of people knew came out, and it was kind of a little bit under the radar, but it is 100%. If you haven't seen it, a watch. But it's a really, really good movie and a great sequel to the original.
Talking about sneakily stealing things off people's lists. That totally was on my list as well. It's one of the better movies that has T2 in the title, and I stand by that. But yeah, this is an absolute yes. Like I love this movie. The original one is great, and somewhere in the UK, I'm pretty sure Tony is screaming his head off.
And Jake.
Oh yeah, that as well. But Joseph, what do you say about T2 Train Spotting?
Yeah, this movie surprised me as well. I personally don't dig all the how do I say this? Some of the It was a lot more entertaining than I thought it would be. I was very impressed by the energy that the characters all brought, despite them being 20 years aged after the first movie. The plot was very entertaining. I don't know, for some reason, the moment that I won't, without spoiling too much, I think my favorite scene in the movie is when Begbie and Renton meet again. I don't know. There's just sudden bursts of energy and humor that really caught me off guard and surprised me by how much I was entertained by this movie. I'll say yes to this movie as well. Although I don't agree it's the best T2 movie out there.
I mean, I've said it before on multiple streams about my opinion on the Terminator franchise. So, Stephen, what do you say about T2 Train Spotting?
I haven't seen it, so I guess it's got to be no.
I recommend.
And Chris, what do you say about T2 Train Spotting?
That's how when Anthony reveal it. That was next on my list to bring up. I love Train Spotting too. This is one of the sequels that took me by surprise. Hashtag give Robert Carlyle more work to do. He's a really good actor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and not just on TV, in movies around one. He's phenomenal once upon a time. But yeah, it's such a good sequel. I love that Danny Boy went back to the Ewan McGregor. Another great sequel. He in like this is a funny movie. It treats Robert Carlyle going crazy. That's what I need for the movie. Yeah, just yeah.
I also love Ewan Bremner's accent in this movie. I don't know. I just thought it was very
so good.
I love it. I love it.
This movie's so good. Chris, yeah, you stole two of my movies, so I'm stealing one of yours now. We got to even this out a little bit, but I don't think we're getting to a fourth because we're pretty low on this.
There's one spot left,
Oh, jeez.
and it's on me.
So many more.
9, 10. Oh yeah, one spot.
I'm going to take a chance on this. I don't think this is going to get on because I know what people think about this movie. I'm going to go for a sequel that I didn't expect to like, and I've only just recently seen all the movies in this franchise. Well, the sequels of this franchise just recently. we've already mentioned, but one of the actors that's in it today, it is Live Free or Die Hard. I
Ooh,
think
not the one I was
I think this is legitimately a good movie. It's definitely fun. Like I've seen all the sequels to Die Hard this year, and I just think this is one of those movies which gets a lot of hate, but it's not actually a bad movie. So I'm gonna see how this goes. Joseph, what do you say?
This was on my list. I don't care what people say about the PG-13 rating. It does not matter because if you've seen A Good Day to Die Hard, it does not matter what makes a good Die Hard movie. But regardless of the whole PG-13 issue, I've always enjoyed this movie when I saw it. Like I get people like being concerned about how it's not going to be like it's not going to be as violent as they want the previous Die Hard as the previous Die Hard movies were, but like I was saying about how I think that the important thing there for a sequel is to carry on the same spirit of the previous movies, and even though it's PG-13, even if it's PG-13, like it's still a very fun action movie with John McClane trying to take it down these corporate bad guys who are trying to steal money from the in like a huge scam, and it's not only fun, it's very entertaining. It's over the top in some ways that and kind of some of the other Die Hard movies are a little bit too. So I don't know. I really enjoy this movie as well. So I will say yes to this movie. Yes.
Stephen, what do you say about Live Free or Die Hard?
As far as I know, there's only 4 Die Hard movies. I don't know what A Good Day to Die Hard is. Yeah, I love this movie, and this actually was probably going to be the next one I would have brought up. So definitely yes.
With that, it's going to be the last one that makes the list. Chris, what do you say about Live Free or Die Hard?
This wasn't the sequel I thought we could bring up, but I do like this movie a lot. Is that good at the other 3? Not counting the one I would never rewatch ever again. No, but it's fun. Timothy Olyphant and Von Bill and Maggie Q. It's a kick-ass henchwoman in it. The one-liner hysterical for Bruce Willis. Like, did the check get back in town? Like, I just love it. I would have said no because we on our 12, but we got it on regardless. The one other sequel for many years later that just came out that I would have brought up before this. But still, a great movie. I'm happy we end on a good note rather than a crappy note.
But Anthony, what do you say about Live Free or Die Hard?
Guys, this movie's fine. It's not as bad of a Die Hard movie as people like to make out. It's a good movie. I enjoy it. It's fun. It's entertaining. Bruce Willis hasn't given up on acting yet. It does provide. Justin Long is good. Timothy Olyphant, I really do enjoy. Shockingly, I enjoy him in a lot of what he does. He's a surprisingly good low-key actor. There are better ones out here. There's about 3 movies on this list that I would just be like, nah, there's probably some better ones out there. This wasn't on my list. I saw it. I thought about it because I do enjoy this. The 5th one is absolute trash, but it's fine. I can understand why it would come on here and understand why I would make it, but we're missing a few. We're missing a couple. Nothing major, but we're missing a couple. But it's okay. Here's our 12. When Malcolm lets me tell you my others, you're going to be like, "Ooh, yeah, that one would have been better." But I'll let you guys ponder on that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But for now, I'm not going to say it's a bad movie. I do enjoy this movie. It wouldn't be my top 12, but I do enjoy this movie.
I'm curious at the one that Anthony thought people thought I was going to bring up.
Oh, I thought you were going Indiana
Yeah.
Jones, just going to destroy the whole world. Like that's what I thought.
I mean,
No, I thought
if
you
I
were
had-
going to go with the one that just came out this year. One that were 10
I mean,
years later.
When it came out this
I mean, I like the one. Yeah, the one the one you're thinking of, and screw it, we're going to go to honorable mentions anyway. but like honorable mentions, like I had Jurassic World on my list. I did have Tron Legacy on my list. I didn't bring it up just because just because I hadn't seen it in ages and didn't want to try and talk about I did actually have Crystal Skull on my list, but I was like, that's not getting on. I had Finding Dory on my list. I had Crocodile Dundee in LA. I had Bridget Jones' Baby.
Okay.
And I had Bill and Ted Face the Music. But Joseph, did you have any honorable mentions on there?
Yes, I did. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure how people would react to this because I'm curious to see what people think about this being like more of a spiritual sequel rather than a direct sequel. Fantasia 2000.
Oh, fucking Fantasia 2000. Oh, I didn't even think about that. I would have 100% agreed with that.
Yeah, same.
I really enjoyed the movie, even though people say that it's more about cameos rather than art and music. I still find that I don't see a problem with the cameos. I think the music is fantastic, of course, and the animation stories that go along with the music are also really, really well told, especially Rhapsody in Blue. Rocky Balboa, I think, was a good return to form for the Rocky films after the yikes effort from John G. Avildsen returning with Rocky 5. I consider Tron Legacy kind of, but
Honorable mention.
rewatching it recently, I thought it was just fine. So it was like lower on my list. I enjoy Men in Black 3 quite a bit, even though Mark Ellis has a problem with a certain alien character. I still enjoy it quite a bit. And two other honorable mentions that I wanted to shout out were Rescuers Down Under, which I think is very great.
Are you serious? How did that not get on this list? Oh, this is bullshit. This list is absolutely bullshit. Rescuers Down Under is one of the best fucking animated movies of all time.
Well,
I would try and look it up to see how many years it was between both.
but anyway, Rescuers Down Under I thought was an improvement over the first one, which I don't think aged very well. I considered Monsters University kind of, but I thought Incredibles 2 and Toy Story 3 are the better Pixar delayed sequels. And one that I don't know if you're familiar with this movie, but there's an anime film called Vampire Hunter D: Bloodlust, which is an anime about a vampire hunter, and it has some very, very, very cool animation and cool folklore that I think was a very interesting movie that makes me want to see the original.
But Stephen, what did you have as honorable mentions?
I do really like Men in Black 3. I think Josh Brolin is great in it. Then there's several that I knew probably wouldn't get in because they're not liked, like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and Terminator 3. Rocky. I did have Rocky Balboa on my list. And Tron Legacy, Dream 4. That's about it.
Cool.
Chris, did you have any honorable mentions?
I have 2 and 1 from the comment that somebody just mentioned that I forgot about. Mary Poppins Return. I actually do like this. Yeah, and then Borat 2, and then somebody mentioned the comment. I didn't realize, and I guess it's a sequel. The Muppet 2011. Like that just blew my mind up realizing that it technically a sequel. But yeah, I mean, I think I would add Ogden Muppet and onto this list, but the other 2 would honorable mention. Like I like Borat 2 a lot, and I do like Mary Poppins Return a lot.
Quick question: do TV movies come into account in a franchise? Because technically, Muppets Wizard of Oz came out in less than 10 years before 2011's Muppets. I don't know if that would have.
I was sure that for Superman Return.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's
anyway. None of these made the list.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't come up, so don't need to worry about that discussion. But Anthony, did you have any honorable mentions?
I had a few. Mary Poppins Returns was on my list. I as my wife knows, Emily Blunt's my girl. I love Emily Blunt, and anything she is in, I will watch. That's like my Chris Evans for her. That's how that works. I did have Men in Black 3. I thought was an absolute way above Men in Black 2. They did a great job with the time travel. A couple of the other ones I have. Scream 4 came out 11 years after Scream 3. That was a fantastic movie in comparison to Scream 3. I thought they did a good job keeping it with the times. A little bit of a weird one, Escape from L.A. Kurt Russell as Snake Plissken. Escape from L.A. Is it a good movie? No. But is it entertaining as hell? Oh, yeah, it is. You get Bruce Campbell. You get Steve Buscemi. That movie's fantastic. And another one that's a little bit more on the serious side is The Color of Money, a sequel to The Hustler. You get Tom Cruise in an early role. Really good. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of characters in there that you just don't want to root for. They're all assholes, and they're all terrible people. But the movie itself is really good. So The Color of Money was one of the other ones that I kind of had on the bottom of my list there. But those are the other ones. And also, by the way, you saying Rescuers Down Under just made me so happy because I absolutely love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. And I didn't realize that was 10 years earlier, else that would have been my first pick because I love that movie.
But yeah, I mean, I'm kicking myself for forgetting Mary Poppins Returns because I totally would have brought that up. I didn't actually. There's one of those ones another one that I didn't actually write down on my bit of papers. I just didn't think of it. And also, Brian brought up Batman Begins. It's not a sequel. It's
That's a straight up reboot.
yeah.
Nor is it a 10-year delay.
The other one on my list that I debated with was Zombieland 2, but I thought that would got a lot no. That was 10 years.
Oh, bloody hell!
Which one? What'd you say?
Zombieland 2.
Zombieland Double Tap.
Yeah, that was good. I don't know if it'd be my top 12, but I do like that movie. Ooh, I'm having a rough go on which my number 12 is. I'm starting to write it down already, but I don't know what's going on. Yeah,
But yeah, this is the first time on the ranking list. I wish I had. There was a rule to replace with something else because some of those benches I just completely forgot about.
Oh, some of these mentions were fantastic. Like, whoa, that was a thing.
Yeah.
Do we just want to take out Star Wars, Superman Returns, and Live Free or Die Hard?
No.
And redo three?
No.
We're not playing
The
out.
one obvious one is different than the others on this list.
Just throw it out.
As I said, I might bring out a rule when we come back next year, but for now, I'm not doing it at the end of a show.
Yeah, that's good.
But Joseph, what do you have for 12?
I'm okay with putting Superman Returns at 12. Even though there are some I haven't seen on the list, I'm okay with this being
Stephen, what do you have? Stephen, what do you have for 12?
Bad Boys for Life.
Chris, what do you have for 12?
Get this stinky movie on the bottom of the list, Superman Returns.
Anthony?
I went with Star Wars: The Fan Service.
I went with Mad Max Fury Road. But Superman Returns is going to be 12.
Okay. Who should I put?
I'm
Yeah,
okay
I go
with that. I was in debate. Poor James Marsden. You all feel bad for him for a second. He'll never get this girl.
I think Ben Mount did better on TV with superhero with Legend Tomorrow. Yeah,
Absolutely. Better is Kingdom Come.
They
Stephen,
got to
what do you
deliver in
have-
Fate Angelic. Yeah.
What do you have
I'm
for 11,
sticking, I'm sticking with Bad Boys for Life.
Stephen? Chris,
Live Free or Die Hard.
Anthony,
I appreciate Stephen not wasting paper, but I'm going to go with Star Wars.
I'm going Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh, it's all up to Joe.
Well, looks like we all picked different movies because I put Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens.
Oh, no, we didn't. I'm good.
So we're gonna have to put a wheel because we all pick different movies, right, Malcolm?
I mean, I know what I know what Anthony was meaning with his pick.
It's the same. Yeah, the fan service. I mean, you can basically make that 7, 8, 9. They're all the same.
Like I said, I think it's an all right movie for the latter half. I'm
Yeah,
okay.
it
That's
is.
what I would consider fan service, more like spinning on the fan there.
I mean, I didn't hate Phantom Menace. I thought it was good.
Great
Oh,
lightsaber.
Malcolm,
I like
you're
that
good.
Jedi.
Hey, I like
Yeah.
movie 43, alright? Did you expect anything less?
We know.
Hey, if there's other people here, like me giving you a hot take, that's always the comments they'll respond with. So I've got them before they did.
You know what? Well played. Well played.
But Chris, what do you have?
Mine at the last minute. Hold on.
Yeah, let's just get out of the way to some of that to be on the bottom left. Let's be a diehard.
Anthony,
Yeah, let's get that going.
Mad Max Fury Road,
Stop doing that.
Joseph,
I'm changing mine again. Sorry.
You're good.
uh,
Ooh, this is gonna get rough now.
Yeah, can't even
Bad Boys
work.
for Life. Just because I haven't seen it.
and Stephen.
I didn't change mine, so I guess that means it's a tie.
Oh,
God. Which means I'm the one that gets stopped because I was the only one that had something different. And as always, I'm not going to say anything until I type out the banner because,
You don't want to get yelled at.
well, no, it's more of a case of just to keep building up the suspense.
Suspense. Don't yell at you.
I do like one of these more than the other.
Yeah. All right now.
good choice. Oh, okay. Who are my favorite children and what to get rid of? They had a good one.
Anthony, what do you have?
I went with Incredibles 2.
Mad Max Fury Road,
Stop it.
Joseph,
Hold on. I'm almost done. It's a really long title.
But his handwriting is
I'm gonna interchange I'm gonna go to the other one. Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle.
Stephen,
Incredibles 2.
Chris.
Same thing, Incredible 2. Like, it hurt me, but I had to go with the one that kind of not great at the others.
It's true. The first one was just better, but it was really good.
Yeah, it's in
It
my
was
top
really
five.
good. It just. Oh, God.
This is just not English, whatever the fuck I'm looking
No. Hold on.
You guys can all write English, right? Because I can't.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Just checking, because my handwriting is atrocious. Yeah.
But anyway, I've got Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh,
Joseph,
God.
Going back to Bad Boys for Life.
Stephen,
Uh, Bad Boys for Life.
Chris,
Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. It hurt, but I had to sit with one with the song.
Hey, Malcolm, which do you like better? Jumanji or Welcome or Bad Boys for Life? Your choice.
I love it. It's my choice.
You know, it's different. It's your choice. It's also your show.
I almost went with Malcolm, but I no, I had not to hurt myself there.
Interesting.
Ooh.
Just to recap what we've got left, we've got Toy Story 3, Blade Runner 2049, Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle, Doctor Sleep, Split, Mad Max Fury Road for some goddamn reason, and T2 Train Spotting.
Wasn't that shot in your country?
I don't care if it's shot in my country. Doesn't mean I have to like it.
Do you like Avatar and Lord of the Rings? Because if you do,
I thought it was Australia, not New Zealand.
It was filmed in Australia anyways, so
They're different. All right, I got you.
Joseph.
I'm going to the other one that I haven't seen yet. Jumanji, Guns N' Roses song.
Stephen,
Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle.
Chris,
Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. You laughed along, but
Anthony.
good one.
Oh, by the way, I want Joe on more of these shows because I'm super entertained. Also, it also Jumanji.
Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh,
Stop hating your man.
you're not winning that battle for me.
This is going to be interesting.
Yeah, now, I mean, all right. I think I'm good. We're going to see what happens.
Between two, and I'd give it this one. It hurt, but it had a good one, and this is good enough for it.
I did a Tony and had a spelling mistake in the banner.
What?
No one saw it. Good.
I didn't see it. You're good. You're safe.
I added an I to jungle.
Oh, I'm about to say, if you think I'm noticing a spelling mistake, you were sadly mistaken.
I mean, if Garth was here, he would have noticed it straight away.
Garth?
If you watch this, we do love you, Garth. Stephen, what do you have?
I sort of saw it, so I went with Doctor Sleep.
Chris.
How much it pain me Split.
Anthony.
I have never agreed with Chris as much on one of these shows as I have today, because I also went Split.
Mad Max Fury Road. Joseph.
I'm going to save my vote for the next one because it doesn't matter. Keep the suspense. Can I do that?
I mean, if it's not one of the moves that have already been mentioned.
It's not. Split does win. So it's number 6.
I like the way you play that. This is very interesting. All right, what do we got?
Okay, this also had a good one, but number 5 is a really good spot. Yeah.
This is tough. There's no chance I am not the only person to write this movie down right now.
Chris, what do you have for 5?
I love this movie, but teaches Train Spotting.
Anthony.
I do love this movie, but I'm going with TS3, Toy Story 3.
Ooh.
Mad Max Fury Road. Joseph.
I'm going with T2T, T2 Train Spotting.
And Stephen.
Kept Doctor Sleep.
And I wasn't wrong. I was the only person to write that down.
I mean, what we had left? We got Toy Story, Blade Runner, Doctor Sleep.
Mad Max, and...
We've only got 4 left.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. We're into a show. Okay. Decision. Hey, Malcolm, what do you got? I wonder. Shock.
But Anthony, what do you have?
Oh, me? I still got Toy Story 3. I just rewrite it because I'm bored.
Chris.
Yeah, first I agree with Malcolm, just because the other one I hold high and we got Mad Max. It's close, but it would just like just for a second.
Stephen.
Sleep.
And Joseph.
I'm gonna wait to the next turn because it's not one of there. Because it doesn't tie. It doesn't tie.
All right.
Oh, now I had to. Which one of my favorite children should I put down?
Yeah, really. Steven, still keeping the trees alive. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And I'm saving ink.
Malcolm over there saving ink. Not anymore. You got to pick something new.
Go to me last. I had to say.
How many times have I been on the show with you, Malcolm, where you kept the same one for like 7 picks?
I mean, that's probably the most I've actually kept one written down. Like, it's one of those ones. It's one of those ones. If I really believe that something should be a lot lower, then I will keep
I
it
feel
there.
like Robert Downey Jr., you had Tropic Thunder on there for a solid 11.
Yeah.
I wasn't letting that slide.
This hurt me.
But Joseph, what do you have?
Blade Runner 2049.
Ooh,
Stephen.
I wonder.
Stephen, what do you have?
I changed it. Toy Story 3.
Chris.
We may have a tie. I would. I'm about to pay. I had to deal with one of the stronger sequels. Blade Runner 2049.
Anthony.
What do you got, Malcolm? Because I got Toy Story 3.
I've also got Toy Story 3.
Oh, that's hurt. Okay.
But this time, instead of putting down number 2, we're going straight to number 1.
Yeah, shit. All right, good point. I forgot.
Shit.
Like I haven't been on the show for a while.
Which one
Also,
is stronger
fun fact,
sequel?
Toy Story 3 ended up 3rd on the list. It's as if people planned it that way.
I did the whole time. That was I'm not sure I'm winning those ones. I don't think this one's winning nothing.
Alright, Joseph, what do you have?
You know what else? What we should also pick as a group? We should pick the movie that has a 2 in the title as number 2 and put Dr. Sleep as number 1.
Stephen.
Blade Runner 2049.
Chris.
I struggle with this. I had to go with Dr. Sleep. I just need the acting, and then what it does with the story. It just
Anthony.
You know what makes me so happy is to make Malcolm be the final decision on his job because I went Blade Runner 2049.
I mean, I've only seen Blade Runner 2049 once, which is why I'm going Dr. Sleep, because I do like both movies. Both movies are good.
They are.
I just think Dr. Sleep is that little bit better.
Understood. I can't argue with it at all.
Hashtag Mike Flanagan. I can't wait what to see he does next after all the stuff he's been doing.
By then, maybe several people would have a follow-up to Dr. Sleep, and he'll do that. But with that, we've reached the end of the show, and before anything, I'm going to recap what the 12 was. At 12, got Superman Returns. At 11, we've got Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, the fan service. At 10, we've got Live Free or Die Hard. At 9, we've got The Incredibles 2. At 8, we've got Bad Boys for Life, even though it's the third movie. At 7, we've got Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. At 6, we've got Split. At 5, we've got T2 Trainspotting. At 4, we've got Mad Max Fury Road. At 3, we've got Toy Story 3. At 2, we've got Blade Runner 2049. And at number 1, we've got Dr. Sleep. It is I would argue that it is a really solid list.
It's a solid list.
Yeah. We're definitely going to be yelled at ones that we missed, because I know I'm kicking myself for ones I forgot that as well. But with that, Joseph, where can people find you online?
I'm on Facebook. I'm in the trivia groups. I'm on Letterboxd at Joseph020, and yeah, pretty much it.
Stephen, where can people find you online?
I finally started updating my letterbox, so that's at sshepard82. I'm also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Anthony, where can people find you online?
You can find me basically anywhere. I'm all around all sorts of fan leagues. I'll on Tony's League, feature presentation. Also, if you're ever interested in pitching a movie, I do have a show on Opening Night Trivia League, which is Spence's League, which airs every Thursday. Malcolm has done it once. If anyone else is interested, you know me. Just hit me up on Facebook, and I will get you on. You pitch a movie, you get some time. Malcolm did a great job, but sadly he lost that time. I plan on having him on again at some point. But if anyone is allowed, and it requires no knowledge of movies, none, no trivia, no nothing. It's just for fun to enjoy. Please let me know if you want to give it a shot. Other than that, I'm basically I'm just around. I'm always there.
One match I think would be really interesting to see is Joseph up against Brian Michaels.
Ooh, that'd be
Oh, and pitching a movie? Yeah, I
And
would
pitching a movie.
love it. That would be great.
But with that,
Don't forget
you can
Chris. You
yeah,
forgot
Chris,
him.
we can people find you online.
find me on Facebook. You find me on YouTube. I am in 2 weeks be defending my title belt against Robert Kaffner at Jack All Trivia. So stay tuned to that. I believe they'll be live like was last time. It'd be an interesting match, and you find me every round. Might find me tomorrow night at Movie Man. And now, guys, please join if we have a post. We would love to see new people on Movie Mania tomorrow. We look forward to anybody. Bye.
And you can find me on Take 3 Productions. I host Late Night Take 3 and Rankum. The poll for next week will be up there. It will be a slightly different type of list for a change. I'll explain more on the post. And you can also find me over on Full Metal, where I host Full Metal Classic on Sundays, and Full Metal Random normally on Tuesdays, but I think this week it's going to be on Friday. It is going to be a Jurassic Park match between Sean Wasserkrug and Antonio Chavez. Should be a really interesting match. But that being said, it's time to go out and all that.